Hello everyone, it's Loretta and I am excited to show you this mixed media specimen type tag that you can use for your junk journals. You can use them as bookmarks. This actually uses some flowers that I dried just a few days ago. They're actually still a little tiny bit wet, so they will dry down to their brown crunchiness. And I'm going to show you how to prepare a microscope slide to do this. And I hope that you'll enjoy the video. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And today we're going to do some embellishments. You can use these in your junk journals. You can use them on cards if you want. This is more of a grungy type project, but you're going to need a few supplies. And then we're going to do a specimen type of embellishment, and we're going to be using real glass microscope slides. You can get these on Amazon pretty cheap, and we're going to be using some Distress Oxide ink, and in my case we're going to use some small flowers that I actually cut a few days ago, so they're nice and wilty, and they should be really good for this. Now remember, these are glass once again, so you really do not want to break these, so just be careful. So these come in a pack of 100, and you get the ones I bought. You get the microscope slides as well as the little square piece that goes on top if you want to do it that way. We're going to kind of do this specimen style like you would if you were preparing a microscope slide in high school. So we're going to grab 2 microscope slides. That's easy for me to say, huh? Okay, we have 2 microscope slides out. As you can see, they're kind of catching the lights of my camera. And we have our Distress Oxide ink. We also have the some Fabri-Tac. You can use something else like E6000 or Glossy Accents. But I found that this works great, and as you can see, it's already on my desk. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you have some small stamps, you can use those. If you can use any stamps on glass, then you're going to need to use some StazOn jet black ink, or you're going to need to use maybe some black archival ink from Ranger. So let's get started. My hands are clean. Okay, they're not, but this isn't going to come off. This is actually StazOn ink. It's not going anywhere. I'll probably end up having to use a little something like a magic eraser or something of that nature. And now that I look at this antique linen distress ink, I really don't think it's dark enough for what we need. So instead, I'm going to pull out some gathered twigs. So we'll see which one works best together. You may see a cord in your view from time to time. It is my microphone for my iPhone. So in order for this to kind of look a little bit more aged, you're just going to very gently just kind of wipe it over that pad. And when the glue hits this in a minute, it will do its little magic oxidation trick. So, yeah. You could also press your flowers if you wanted. I have no idea what kind of flower this is. It was growing on a little bush behind our house. So, sorry, honey. No. He knows I picked a few actually the other day. I didn't pick them. I trimmed them with a pair of shears because I don't want to hurt the plants. And frankly, if you take some of the blossoms off of your plants, it's really good for them because it's called deadheading. But if you take off extra plants, it helps the little guy or girl, whatever kind of plant you have, I guess, to produce more flowers. So, okay. Little bit of glue right there. Now I'm going to take my same distress ink, and once again just real gently next thing I'm going to do is just add some more adhesive. And you're going to want to make sure that the side that you inked is facing towards the other side that you inked, because if you don't, it'll just wipe right off. So I kind of like the look of the smeary it just makes it look old. So I'm just going to take a couple of clips, make sure its little feet are facing right. You can also use clothespins. Actually, I personally recommend clothespins. I just don't have any out right now. I'm going to take a break here in just a second and get some though. And as you can see, this is pretty flat. I'm actually going to bring this in a little bit more. So I'm going to lay this aside and let it dry. Let's do another one. This time we're going to use something that's not quite so thick as far as the flowers go. And I do have some pieces, for lack of a better term, of some flowers that I dried a few days ago. And they actually came out really, really well. So I'm just going to get some pieces. Now this one, these are just some blue flowers that are growing in our front yard right now. I really don't know what they are, but I grabbed a bunch of them and I kind of squished them down in my flower press, and that actually worked out really well. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this and take off any excess, and since the flower's already dry, that comes right off. You can trim it with a pair of scissors if you want, but you really don't need to. And you're going to decide which one that you want to be showing up towards the top. This time I'm just going to put the glue in place and move that around with my fingers. And I'm not sure if I actually want the top glass. Actually I do, because if it were a real microscope specimen slide, it would have two, just so that the object between the glass would be protected. So it's going to look like that. So I am going to put some more glue on. Gently. So if you happen to be doing a junk journal that is like a botanical one, then you're ready to go. So I'm going to once again take these and clip them together. I did find some paper clips. I did find some clothespins. These do not take long to dry. I'm just cleaning up any glue that has oozed out of the sides of this microscope slides. I really don't want this to come apart, can you tell? This is probably overkill, but it's okay. So we're going to put this one aside too. So now what I want to do, I'm going to show you some things I've made that you can do two. They're pretty simple. The first are 2 tags. I use my dry flowers to make this. The tag base is actually a piece of handmade paper. The doily is actually an SVG cut file. And this one's same thing. This tag uses like an old metal gear. I think it's Ranger's. Maybe a Tim Holtz design, but I'm not sure. And some old lace, and then I stained the heck out of it using my Distress inks. So here's the one that I made. Okay, here you go. It's the tiny book from Eileen Hall, and it is made with leather. I spritzed the leather with a little water, and I ran it through a 3D woven embossing folder. I haven't, you know, I can do that right now. I can grunge up this binding a little bit. This is just the gathered twigs I already have out on my desk. So this is a button that I made using, actually that one I used a button maker I found on eBay. So you just simply untie the ribbon, which in this case I just put the 2 sides together, use my crocodile and poke the holes to make the binding. The inside is actually covered with some medium weight, I would say, fabric. So, and then this is handmade paper between the 2 signatures, and then some old music paper. I used Scotch tape because this paper was so old it just ripped. And I like this for 2 reasons. For one, because it's old paper, that tape is going to yellow, and it's going to make it look even more vintage than it already does. I used some, just some cream color lightweight cardstock, about 60 pounds or so, to cut the signatures, and I hand cut those. And I did make sure that they were smaller than the cover so that it would fold flat very nicely. I know, it's adorable. This part of the embellishment, I've got a tag and some music paper. And I'm just going to glue this music paper onto the tag. You can use whatever adhesive you like. You can use a glue stick if you want. I'm not a fan of glue sticks. They tend to come up over time. So they're just simply not worth your effort. Seriously, they're not. So. Now, we do have those 2 different microscope slides in the wings, so to speak, drying a little bit for us to use them. And I'm going to make this tag kind of like this one. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over and get some paper that I made. I actually made this yesterday. Did I make this one yesterday? No, I think that I made this a few weeks ago. Don't be stingy with glue when it comes to stuff like handmade paper, because you really do want it to catch and stay in place and not come undone. So I'm thinking of using this side for my Specimen. But I am going to do a little bit of distressing to the back just in case somebody just wants to use it like as a bookmark or something. Nothing real fancy here. So this is Distress Oxide Reinker in Wilted Violet. If it's too much or you don't like it, you can always kind of dab off any excess. And I really like the way that's coming together. Okay, so I'm going to do this tag in the style of this one, and probably put the microscope somewhere on the side. It is actually sitting on the side over here, just kind of setting up a little bit. But I really like the idea anyway of just creating a little side cascade of flowers. I want to find the hole for this real quick. It's right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue down. I can always add more glue. I can also add hot glue. Hot glue would work really well on this project if that's what you want to use. This is actually a tiny little white rose, by the way. Even though it's dried out somewhat, it still smells really nice. So we're going to decide where this needs to go. I kind of like it on its side. It's not showing up very well though, so I'm going to go ahead and take this into our Distress Oxide ink pad. So it'll have some color. You can also just cut a piece of fabric or something and do it like that. Actually, that looks kind of good. This is 1 by 3 inches, by the way, if you want to know how big those microscope slides are. So I'm just going to give it a little tear. And put some glue on the microscope slide, or you can put it on the fabric, whichever. You can create it a little scientific label if you wanted to. See, how do we like that instead? Oh, we really like that instead. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of grunge this up a little tiny bit. It doesn't need to be like super aged. So we're gonna put that where we want it. I'm leaving all these little bits and pieces and strings and stuff. There's no reason to fuss too much with them. You don't want them in your way, of course, but they're not going to hurt the final project. So there we have it. I'm going to go ahead and use some clips to hold this into place while this dries. And we're going to get another piece of burlap. This isn't burlap, excuse me. Get another piece of muslin. And we're just going to rip it. You can also use string. I have some, I just don't know why I'm not using it, but I'm not. Okay. Now, like I said, I do have some string. And so what I'm going to do is grab a big old piece of it. Here's the tag finished. If you haven't and you want to be, please subscribe to my channel, leave me a thumbs up, and share my videos on your social media. Stay happy, be a blessing. Bye for now.